today is a little better day than the last couple of days were, and so I'm glad to see the people that are here in attendance. And again, thank you for coming and welcome to Senate District 16. Today I have two guests with me, Senator David Hann. Senator Hann is the minority leader for the Minnesota Republican Caucus, and David Osmek is the minority whip for the Republican Minority Caucus at the state legislature. So with this, I'll turn it over to David.
Well, I'm going to throw a question at him, Gary. We can't have him on. You had to answer questions, and we're not going to let them off that easy. And I'm sure they'll say what they want to say anyway. But, you know, I think we often hear out here at FarmFest that, you know, the legislatures that come from the metro area don't have that much interest in agriculture and what's going on out here in greater Minnesota. Senator Hann, in your leadership role there, tell us what happens out here in agriculture in rural Minnesota in your leadership role.
Well, thanks for the question. Thanks for having us up here, and I want to thank my friend Gary Dahms. He's a part of our leadership team in the Senate, and he is a great senator. You all should be proud to have him, and I'm proud to call him a friend. Your question about agriculture in the Republican caucus, and I have to tell you that I think I can speak for all of our caucus members. All of us understand the importance of agriculture in the state of Minnesota. I personally served on the Ag Committee in the Senate for 8 years when I first got there, and I did that even though I represent a suburban district. I think we have one farmer who runs a corn maze. That's the extent of the agriculture, production agriculture in my district. But I work for a food manufacturing company. There are a lot of businesses in the Twin Cities that do a lot of food production. This is the biggest economic engine in the state. And we understand that. And their members, we are interested in one thing, trying to figure out how to make our state a more productive state, a state that is more conducive to growth, and that definitely includes agriculture. I think there are things that we could do better. I was very interested early on in my career in the legislature in dairy industry, trying to find ways to improve the strength of the dairy industry. But I personally have a strong interest in the ag industry, the ag business, and trying to find ways to make it work better. And I can safely say I speak for the members of our caucus and that we share that belief.
Okay, well, let's move over to Senator Osmek. And you two come from kind of more of a suburban district, kind of a little more on the edge up at Mound, right? What are some of the, as you look at the issues that come across your agenda in the Senate, what are some of the issues that we think we're so different sometimes out here, but what are some of those issues that are very similar, whether they're in your district or out here in Gary's district?
Sure thing. Just sort of give you a little background, I represent the west side of Hennepin County and Lake Minnetonka, and part of my district is rural and part is urban, and I just want to let you know we haven't paved over every square inch of Hennepin County, but we're getting there. So that's the area I represent, and I come from an agriculture background, living in that area. I've spent the first 18 years of my life on my parents' farm. I came from home from the hospital into a trailer and lived my first 2 years on a working farm with cows and pigs. They used to put a bell on me so that they could figure out where I was running around the farm. So I'm very familiar with agriculture issues, including being loaned out to bale alfalfa every season as part of my labor for being at home. To your point, one thing that I serve on the Ag Finance Committee, so I go through a lot of agriculture issues, but more importantly, I'm a ranking member on the Energy and Environment Committee. And when you talk about farming, we always think about cows and soybeans and corn and that type of thing. We don't know much about energy, because I know, because I've been shocked many times by an electric fencer, is that electricity costs money, and milkers cost money for the electricity to run through them. It's just not the purchase, and then gnomes and unicorns create that energy. It has to come from somewhere. And my position as being ranking member on the Energy and Environment Committee is to make sure that we are not inflicting damage upon ratepayers, because ratepayers in the metropolitan area are people like me that have a house, and I farm my land of grass and lawn. But for you, energy is an important component that has to be paid attention to as a component of your operating expenses. So when Senator Marty, Metropolitan Democrat, comes up with cockamamie schemes to create electric car programs for educational purposes and says, oh, by the way, Excel Energy and other are going to pay for this, when he does those programs so that people can feel good about their electric cars and be more educated about their electric cars, the money comes from Xcel Energy. Guess who that comes from? Again, it doesn't come from those unicorns. It doesn't come from gnomes. It comes from you as the ratepayers. So at the legislature, while agriculture may show up in the committees, don't forget about things like the Energy Committee, because that hits you in the wallet. It just doesn't hit you as a tax. It comes in the back door.
Okay, I want to throw a question out. We got three of the leadership here of the Republican caucus. Where are we? I heard this discussion throughout 3 days of FarmFest, but where we are at as far as a special session, and if we do have a special session, what are the likely things we're going to be dealing with? Senator Hann?
Sure, I'll take a crack at that. By the way, I didn't know that they put a bell on you. I think we'll have to try that in the Senate to keep track of where he wanders. Sure. But the special session, as you all know, there are a few things that we didn't quite get done this year. The House Republican majority, very bipartisanly, with the Democrats in the House, passed every bill that we need to get passed to get this session done. We had a tax bill that had very good provision, among other things, to help with property taxes for agriculture property in rural Minnesota. A very good provision. There was a very, very minor technical issue with that bill. The governor saw fit to veto it. We come back for a special session, we definitely will get that done. But the big bill was a combination bonding bill, transportation bill that did pass the House by a very strong majority. Did get hung up in the Senate at the last minute. They added an amendment, a tax increase to fund a light rail project. It's not part of the agreed upon bill, and that unfortunately did not leave time to get that bill passed again on the House, and so we ended without that bill being done. That's what we're trying to get done in the special session. I did speak with the Speaker of the House just a couple of days. He is optimistic that we will find a way to get that done. But at this point, as of today, I don't know when that will happen. We are all hoping that we can get this done and get it wrapped up. And I will tell you this, we are fighting to win a Republican majority in the state Senate this year. And if this doesn't get done, if there's some reason that this does not happen, and we do not get that special session, the first thing we will do as a Republican majority in the Senate is we will pass that bonding bill, and we will pass that tax bill, and we'll put it on the governor's desk, and we'll get that done right away in January. That's my commitment to you.
Senator Osmek, anything to add there?
Not particularly. I want to recognize, and I know it'll probably be up here, Representative Torkelson and the House Republicans did the right thing. They got a tax bill. They passed it for one word that the governor couldn't get over, and they could have had a memo of understanding and dealt with that. He did not have to pocket veto it. And the bonding bill that they passed, that came to our floor, there were 16 out of 28 Republicans, more than half. It was the most bipartisan bonding bill at the legislature in decades. But Metropolitan Democrats, and I'm going to be a little partisan, Terry Bonoff and the Metropolitan Democrats screamed they had to have a light rail that we have never talked about in my 4 years at the legislature. They brought it up out of thin air, and it killed a perfectly good bipartisan bill that could have passed. And that's just the facts. And I don't want to be too partisan about this, but that's the truth of the matter. And I congratulate the House on getting us a bill to get that job done.
Senator Dahms, we'll let you have the last word here.
Well, I am optimistically hopeful that we have a special session, and if we do have a special session, I think that we will be looking at certainly bringing the tax bill back for passage of the tax bill. The bonding bill will come back along with the transportation addendum that was part of the bonding bill. These are three very good pieces of legislation, and hopefully we'll have a special session, get those passed, and get some of that bonding money out for roads and bridges, one piece for roads and bridges in the transportation addendum and in the bonding bill. So hopefully that does happen, and we'll be looking forward to that.
Thank you. Thank you to Senators David Hann, David Osmek, and Gary Dahms. Let's give them a